During a recession, productive capacity exceeds aggregate demand. Demand is too weak. How can government manipulate taxes and spending to stimulate demand and thus expand the economy? It's fairly simple. Government can lower your taxes. The money government does not take from you in taxes is money that you can spend on an iPod, a new car, a vacation, or other consumer goods. Government can increase its own spending. The more money government spends on national defense, public infrastructure, public education, etc., the more it stimulates demand. This is sometimes called stimulatory fiscal policy or expansionary fiscal policy. While the basic prescription for fiscal policy making is fairly straightforward, the actual application of fiscal policy as a tool of economic management is extremely problematic. Many and varied criticisms of fiscal policy have been leveled, particularly since the 1970s. I shall outline just a few. One of the most serious criticisms of fiscal policy is that it is made by politicians. Decisions about taxes and government spending are made in the legislative process by the President and Congress. Critics such as the monetarists argue that we should not expect elected officials to have the political discipline necessary to make fiscal policy work properly. While it is relatively easy for politicians to embrace expansionary fiscal policy measures that are designed to fight or counter recession, lowering taxes and providing benefits to one's constituents is not likely to cost many votes in the next election. However, raising taxes and cutting programs that constituents have become accustomed to might cost a lot of votes. However, politicians must be willing to do both, monetarists contend. Because they cannot, fiscal policy is doomed to failure. Another problem with fiscal policy, according to the monetarists, is that it is too slow. There are a number of significant lags associated with fiscal policy. The recognition lag means that it takes some time just to recognize that the economy is slipping into recession or into an inflationary cycle. There is no way to measure inflation or recession directly. The best economists can do is monitor indicators. Next is the decision-making lag. As those of you who have taken Government 2302 have already learned, the legislative process is notoriously slow. It is very difficult to develop a consensus as to what the government ought to do to counter the inflation or recessionary pressure. Democrats and Republicans, liberals and conservatives have their preferred approaches. Assuming a legislative program is enacted, next is the administrative lag. It takes some time to get government bureaucracies and private firms that might be contracting with the government to build highways or bridges or provide weapon systems to actually start spending money. Finally, there is the operational lag. This refers to the fact that once government spending, actual money, is introduced into the economy, it takes some time to realize the effects. Thus, the monetarists contend that once all of these lags kick in, the economy is likely to be already correcting itself, and the effects of the fiscal policy are likely to exacerbate the natural inflation or recession cycle to come.